Well, I think thus far we're very, very far from where we started. Remember, when we started on this path of disinflation, people said abandon all hope. There's no chance that you would ever get near 6%. And today we are at 6% a year ahead of time. In fact, we are at 5. And people are saying, we've done it, we've won. I'm not so confident that we have won, but I'd say we're very, very far from where we started. And what is important to win is to have credibility in the economy that when inflation picks up again, as inevitably there will be forces that will push it up over time, that the central bank will act and will bring it down again. And once we have that credibility, then we have low sustained inflation for a much longer period. Now, this requires everything to work together. The government, of course, through fiscal as well as management of supply. The RBI through its management of liquidity as well as its management of interest rates. And the external environment has to cooperate. But what we need to aim for is a situation where if there are supply shocks in the future, it doesn't immediately result in an increase in inflationary expectations, that people suddenly think, okay, supply shock, so again we're going to see high inflation, and we actually see it. We should be able to see through those shocks in the future because there's enough of a sense in the public that we've brought inflation under control. That would be the longer term aim. That is when I would say we've actually won the war.
So your target is actually 4%, right? As per the Urjit Patel committee, it was 4% by Jan 2016.
No, our target is 6% by Jan 2016.
Your target was, but you've already hit that, right?
And we're not trying to. I've said in other quarters, we're not trying to increase the pace of disinflation beyond what we think is reasonable for the economy. Of course, the eventual target, which I think there is buy-in from the government at this point, would be a band of 4 plus minus 2. So when we get to 6, we are within the band. When we get below 6. But my guess is comfort levels would be to go towards the middle of the band, but there would be a time frame, again, once the framework is ironed out in detail, in which to achieve the middle of the band. It won't be on day one, we have to be at the middle of the band.
You also talked about bulletproofing the balance sheet, to prepare for the inevitable rate hike by the US Fed. Talk us a little bit through that.
Well, first, I think when you bulletproof a company balance sheet, the best way you bulletproof is through policies. If you have solid policies that your investors can trust, then, there may be a little bit of turmoil, but they'll stay. So what are the policies that we have to focus on? One, of course, is growth. We need to get back growth, but we look reasonable, even with the old series relative to our comparator economies, right? Except for China, we're one of the fastest growing economies in the world, even in our extreme slowdown. So if that turns around, which I fully expect it will, we look a lot better. So not only is the level good, but the expectation of a turnaround is also strong. The second, I think, aspect is we have brought down inflation. One of the most pernicious aspects to the Indian currency was that with the high rates of inflation, there would be eventually a depreciation to maintain competitiveness. We're still above the rest of the world as far as inflation goes. Not the rest of the emerging world. Brazil has higher inflation than we have, for example, today, but still relative to the industrial world. I don't think we are going to necessarily catch up with that. We don't want to catch up. We don't want deflationary conditions. But my sense is as we go towards 4%, we will be in a much more comfortable level without the need for depreciating the currency on a regular basis. The second, the third element, growth, inflation. Inflation, I said in my first day in office, we need to give investors confidence that the rupee will maintain its value. Then they will stay in. I think that confidence is by and large there, but we need to win the war. We've won many battles, we need to win the war. The third element is, of course, fiscal. That if there's a sense that our fiscal policies are sensible, are constrained, I think that will again add to the picture of macro stability. And the fourth is a current account deficit, which was already coming down, but with oil will probably go below 1% in the coming year. So you put these four together, that to my mind is the first line of defense. The second line of defense is our reserves. That is, your policies are reasonable, investors want to stay in, but we also have enough reserves that if some untoward accident happens, for example, oil prices shoot up, we can afford to pay for it. We're not constrained. And of course, flip side of reserves is don't incur too much debt.
Do you see growth picking up? And is there any kind of, is there a chance that, what do you see as the potential, India's potential growth rate right now?
Depends on which series you want me to talk.
Right. Sure.
Look, I feel comfortable talking about the old series because I don't understand the new one as well, and I think we, come February 9th, come greater disclosure, we are doing deep dives into what is going on. I think that I would see potential growth is a very nebulous concept because does it mean potential given constraints? Does it mean potential without constraints, etc.? I think given the capacities we've built up and given the kind of constraints on supply that still exist, even though they're being combated, one could argue that potential growth is between 6.5% and 7% right now. And at 5.5%, we're still below potential, but at our projected 6.5% for next year, we should be much closer to potential. So that would be the statement I'd feel comfortable in making, given the old series. Of course, if we can do a lot on expanding capacity, both human capital as well as physical capital and infrastructure, our potential growth will go up. And that way, what is our limit? I don't think, we should be settling in the medium term for anything less than double-digit growth. We need to go back to double-digit growth. But for that, we have to do a lot of homework on the financial side, on the human capital side, on the physical and infrastructure side. But I don't think that's out of the question.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.